meeting remotely.
Yeah, I think those two have to do remotely.
Mhm.
Okay. Where is the agenda? Agenda.
Can you guys hear us?
I can.
Okay, thank you.
All right, it is 6:02. We're gonna open the meeting, the Millis Board of Health for February 9th, 2026. Get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Let's start off the night. We're just gonna have the nursing report.
Good evening. The cases for the month of January, there were 7 flu cases, 3 COVID cases in one line. This is significantly decreased from the report I gave for the month of December. The Mass Department of Public Health still reports flu activity in the state as moderate. The hospitalizations have decreased and the disease severity has decreased. Keep in mind that the cases that are reported from the state are only those that have been tested at a physician's office or at a pharmacy. Some people may have flu at home and just treat themselves at home. Flu vaccine continues to be available to be given in the office or for home visits. The Board of Health and the Council on Aging continue their work on preparing for the senior health fair that will be held in April. A speaker and a hearing specialist have been confirmed. Additional speakers and vendors will be contacted. We meet every 2 weeks with the board, of the Council on Aging to go over this. Vendors were selected on the basis of health and safety products and well-being information and availability of appropriate resources. Community input was considered in this event planning. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
Questions, any questions from the other board?
None for me.
No questions. Thank you.
Anything from anyone in attendance? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, it is 6:05. Okay. All right, agenda item, proposed septic flood regulation changes. All right. There have been proposed changes to the Millis regulations for septic. All right, so we started to review our septic regulations. With them somewhere. All right. Let me see if I can share my screen. So I've been doing some background research on the effect of nitrates and nitrite in waters or contaminated water systems, such as I say a well that'd be near a leaking septic system. If I can share my screen.
Should be able to do that
Yeah,
because
it
the other
should
guy, did it on the last time.
Mhm.
No.
So small.
Yeah, something's coming up. Yeah, something's coming up.
Way too small.
Maybe double plus it, maybe sometimes. I don't think that. Say it out. Oh, the green thing, double, maybe I do that. I don't know.
Not like me. Let's try it again. Stop sharing, let's try that again. It's way too small. There it goes.
There it is.
Alright,
Now you can zoom in, I think, right?
yeah. I think we can do.
I can zoom in, I think. You see all yours, I think. I can see it a little bit,
Can you read that?
it's sort of. So it's just big nitrates.
Yeah, this is
Nitrite.
nitrates and nitrite intake associated with colorectal cancer. I could share these with the boards. There's prenatal exposure to nitrates in drinking water and fetal growth restrictions. Yeah. The colorectal cancer, they're linking it to colorectal cancer. Cancer risk in older women, all sorts of cancers. Colorectal, not colorectal cancer. Should make these bigger. So there's lots of studies on colorectal cancer being associated with nitrogen levels in the water. Methyl hemoglobin in infants from drinking water, nitrates exposure, colorectal cancer, so it does have far-reaching effects. So I'll send these articles out for perusal. I just wanted to share those to show, this is why this is important that we get this right. Because it says great human health effect. All right, so I think we got Dan American wanted to present something tonight.
Good evening. I mean, I have three things that I wanted to go through, two of which we've talked about before, but I just don't really have a sense of what you're looking to accomplish here. Are you trying to do a whole rewrite, or are you just trying to identify specific sections of your regulation that you want to update?
We're probably gonna do it like we did our well regs, where we go one by one for
Okay.
every section. And we just update it as we feel it needs to be updated, using scientific evidence in the latest industry recommendations to make sure that we're keeping the public safe.
Okay. Do you want me to wait until you get to certain sections?
Well, if you wanna, what did you come here to present?
There was one thing that I wanted to present to you tonight about a project that we're working on that pertains to your regulations. I'm going to show you my screen here.
Okay,
This is a project at 325 Village Street. We're looking to do a senior village, condominium style senior village. It's 22 acres of land suitable for, it's 11 acres of land suitable for up to 22 individual senior units. So one of your regulations in your septic regulations requires that you cannot have more than 10 bedrooms connected to any individual septic system, and that you have to have a separate septic system for every building, the way I read it, in a residential environment. So what that means is that, to do something like this, which is what we're looking to do, which is to have a series of duplex units, a couple of individual units, kind of more space, more windows, more light for residents. You would need to have, I think I did the math on it. You need a septic system for every building on this drawing. So 1, 2, 3, it's like 12, 11 or 12 septic systems, which does not make a lot of sense. It's much more costly. It's more maintenance for the property owners involved rather than having to maintain a single septic system. These would be pressure dosed fields. So rather than having to maintain a single pump station for your pressure dosed soil absorption system, now you have to maintain and eventually replace many pump chambers. And the other aspect of it is that in order to minimize the number of septic systems that you have to construct, it's going to push a developer towards the maximum building size possible. And under zoning for a senior village, the maximum building size possible is a 4-unit building. So you would end up with something like this. You end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 4-unit buildings, and then some other combination of building or buildings to get the other 2 units. And you get basically what you end up with is you end up with 6 or 7 different septic systems with additional construction costs, additional maintenance burdens, more expensive to replace down the road when it eventually will need to be replaced, as all septic systems do. And you end up with what I view to be a lesser development, because now you're basically building quad townhouse units with 2 interior units on each building instead of where with a duplex, each building is an exterior unit and has three walls facing the outside, versus interior units where you only have the front and the back that face the outside. So we would ask you to consider changing those requirements, and I can go through the sections of your bylaw. I outlined it in the letter that I submitted to you, but I could go through the sections of the bylaw that kind of tie you into this. There's no engineering reason that I can think of or I'm aware of why a single septic field like this. So we did 6 test holes here, all good soil, all good groundwater, all good perk rates. There's plenty of room right here for a single septic field that can handle the entire complex, the entire development. And you do have one like this down on Himmelfarb, Rockville Meadows, 40 odd units. It was built about 20 years ago. These regulations were in place 20 years ago, so I don't know whether a variance or a waiver was granted. I'm not sure, but it has a single septic system for all 43 units, very much like we're looking to do here. But to do it under your current regulations, we'd have to either seek a waiver or variance, or you'd have to change your regulation as part of this process. So my client on this particular topic is looking for some feedback from the board about what your thoughts are on this so that they can decide which way they should proceed with site design. If there's some sense amongst the board that you're willing to entertain this notion of allowing a single septic system for multiple residential units in a condominium style development, then they would go along the lines of what you're seeing before you, which is mostly duplex units, a couple of single units, which we think is it's a better site design. It's a better project overall.
Chair,
Go ahead.
can I ask a question of Tom Roach?
Sure.
Tom, did you build the Acorn over 55 development?
Acorn Place was me.
Yeah. Hello,
Um,
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Do you remember if you got a variance in terms of those the septic being all tied to one system?
I honestly don't remember if
Okay.
it was a variance or not. I know I can tell you that the engineer was GLM Engineering out of Halston, and I remember talks that septic systems for like these type of developments, that it was more common than not to put these systems all in one spot than to try to spread them throughout the site. Whether we got a variance or not, I can't recall.
Okay.
Well, if I may speak, the board did vote for variance back then.
Okay.
This is 2004, May of 2004. We're
Sounds
talking
right.
about. Yeah,
Was it-
we have, yes.
Oh,
It
okay.
was granted, some type of waiver or variance from the, from the
From the regulation.
regulations. Yes.
Okay. So for me, you know, it doesn't make sense to change something that might be rooted in good, for good reasons. Because variances can be granted, there's always exceptions to the rule. So I'd rather focus on a rule that takes care of whatever concerns are about septics in a multi-unit development, knowing that a variance can always be applied for. Does that make sense? But I'm curious so John, do you know what the current regulation in terms of how it's mandated that that Dan is pointing out? What is the purpose of the current regulation and how it mandates septic system distribution? Do you know?
This is the first time I've dealt with it, to be honest with you. And I'm not exactly sure what the issue is behind it.
Does it come from Title V, correct, or?
No, I don't think
No,
it does.
Title
doesn't-
V views this as a single facility because it's common ownership as a condominium. So Title V treats it as one single facility, and you can have one septic system for it.
Consider it separate.
You guys define facility differently in your regulations than Title V does. It's not the same terminology.
So I guess we would need to figure out what the intention was of the way our regs are different. If we can, I mean, we can contact some of the former board members. Maybe Kathy Lannon would know. But your point is well taken, Dan. But before I would want to change it, I'd want to know why was the decision made at the time to spell out why it has to be more than one system. So, but
Yeah, and just so you understand, in a condominium, the association owns all of the land
Right.
as a single thing. So it's not like there are, 22 different owners and two of them are going to maintain this septic system and that septic system. Everything outside the interior walls of the buildings is owned in common by the association. It's effectively a single ownership entity. So they have to maintain one system or 6 systems, whatever it is.
Mhm.
And everybody pays for it. Their fair
Right,
share.
which means the cost would be more because it'd be more systems to be maintaining.
Correct.
And
Could I say something? So
Sorry,
I
go
can
ahead.
just tell you, I can just tell you from my experiences at looking at different sites, to just see how they're built or for purchasing or whatever. There's a lot of different condominium sites out there that have just one system, opposed to many different systems. Like Dan said, DEP looks at it as one facility. I don't know the terminology, what Millis considers a facility, but I will say one thing. When you talk about looking back to look at the regs and see why this was done, that's a very difficult task for anyone, whether it be us or be your board. I have some ideas of why a lot of these regulations were put into place a long time ago, and it wasn't a very good reason. To be quite blunt, it was to control growth. All right. But I think that your board, I mean, you talk about scientific stuff, I really think that it's just my opinion. I'll leave it there, but you need to look at what the DEP has done for the last 15, 20 years on issues like this. All right, to try to find out why these rules were put in place, that's a hard task. All right. That's it.
I do know the state is working on increasing the protection against nitrates. They've already made new laws in the Cape and sensitive, it's like the salt marshes areas, and they left it really loosely so they can apply them other parts of the state. So it kind of seems like they're moving towards more protection against nitrates from systems.
They are. They
Yeah.
are.
And it's gonna expand from the Cape soon.
Well,
Um,
and actually that was a federal loss, that was determined in federal court. And it was a ruling against EPA actually, that the EPA was not being vigorous enough to protect groundwater. And I have no doubt that what started on the Cape is going to move westward. I have no doubt. And I can tell you from knowing people who are dealing with it on the Cape, it is very, very expensive. Nitrate removal is not cheap, but it's coming. It absolutely is coming. But the science is pretty clear on nitrates. I mean, it's been linked, conclusively to cancers, digestive cancers, in adults. So, and it's not, I mean, it's conclusive. It's about 20 years of conclusions. So, that's why they tell you don't eat, don't eat smokehouse meats. So yeah, I think we have to look at that in updating the regs. But I also think it's, what Dan and Tom spoke to is also something important to look at. But I always like to know why something happens before changing it. So.
Yeah, like I'm fine, like it says in Title V, multifamily developments often require multi-compartment tanks or tanks in series, like that's coming from Title V.
Well, that's because the design flow rates are larger, right? So any facility of this size requires a 2-compartment tank. But when you get into larger flow rates, let's say if you have 3,000 gallons per day, having a single septic tank that can handle what is essentially 3 times that volume is not often effective. So a lot of times they'll have a septic system, which is the first compartment of a multi-septic tank, and then a separate tank that is the second compartment, and you achieve the same result of having 2 settling areas in your storage. That's why any kind of a system with a larger flow, you might often see that with 2 separate tanks acting like a single multi-compartment tank that you'd see at a house. And once you get over 2,000 gallons per day flow under Title V, it has to be pressure distribution, which is, pressure distribution honestly is a better septic design. It's more expensive and it's more expensive to maintain. You have to have a pump system, irrespective of whether you can flow by gravity or not. And that's where, if you get into this situation where you have to build 6 different systems, they all have to be pressure distribution, which means you have to have 6 different pump stations. Whereas if you're doing a single field like Title V allows, you have 1 pump chamber with multiple pumps in there for backup.
Is there any concern that the state's gonna, if they magically say, okay, everyone's gotta worry about nitrate sensitive areas and let's make Mills a nitrate sensitive area?
Well, any zone 2, so the thing with the Cape is it's all sand, right? That's why you have this concern principally at the Cape. It's sand, everything perks really fast. Your treatment is not as effective as slower perking soils, which is part of the conversation that we want to talk about with the design perk rate. Those slower perking soils provide better treatment. So under Title V, if you're in a zone 2, you're in a nitrogen sensitive area. And the way that Title V handles that is you can have one bedroom or 110 gallons per day of flow rate per 10,000 square feet of lot area. So for 40,000 square feet of lot area, which is just under an acre, you can have 4 bedrooms with a conventional system design. If you want to go more than that, you have to provide a design that includes enhanced nitrogen removal. So they'll let you go to 5 bedrooms in 40,000 square feet if you provide a sand filter or something like that. But that's strictly in a zone 2, where, you're more likely to find sand and gravel soils that have fast percolation rates.
But each individual lot, you'll get its own perk rate, which is
Yep.
more important for the design.
So it does seem likely that in areas like zone 2s, that the state may change their regulations, but I don't think they would do it globally, because if you're on a site that has loamy sand, sandy loam soils, that provides better treatment than a site with sand soils, honestly.
This town's got a lot of zone 2s.
Yeah.
Right, Dan? There's
Yeah,
quite,
there's one up.
like half, I think 30% of the town is zone 2.
Probably, yeah. That's pretty common around here. But there's lots of areas of the town that are not. So, a lot of our zone 2, a big chunk of downtown is in zone 2. So that's all on sewer. Up around South End Farm is zone 2. Some of it's a zone 2. But there are big areas of Millis that are not in zone 2. And we have municipal water almost everywhere in Millis, right? Not everywhere, obviously, but almost everywhere, available almost everywhere.
Well, we had like 125 wells, I think.
We got almost 300, I think,
Okay.
250, 300, somewhere around that.
So we do have a significant number of wells.
Yeah, well, some people choose to use a well even though municipal water is available.
I think the board would have to research this a little bit, find out, look into what variance was granted back in, 2004, was it?
Yeah, there's basically 2 provisions. One is how you define dwelling. It basically is defined as any residential building is a dwelling. And then your regs say that each dwelling has to have its own septic system. And then it goes further to state that no dwelling can have more than, or no septic system can have more than the equivalent of 10 bedrooms connected to it. So basically, let's just say that the zoning here allowed us to have 10-unit buildings, right? A 10-unit block of townhouses. You couldn't do that with a single septic system under your current regulations. So you would have to split the building in half and have one half on one system and one half on the other. Sorry about that. It's my dogs.
Are you gonna speak? Tom?
Oh, no, sorry.
All right. Any comments from the other board members?
Back to Dan's original question, I'll just say from my perspective, we've entertained variance or waiver before. I would do it again. I would just encourage you to, continue to bring cogent arguments that we can debate.
I think we need to pull up the,
What's that?
what the variance was back in 2000.
In fact, I have it here, actually, I have it here. Hold on a minute. You wanna take a look at it?
Sure.
The underline. You guys see that? May 12th, 2004.
Just subsurface sewage design system regulations. Number 4 states there should be a separate septic system for each dwelling. Dwelling should not contain more than a maximum of your 5 2-bedroom units or equivalent of 10 bedrooms. Number state septic design shared soil system, 42 bedrooms. Each unit's 2 bedrooms, every unit 1 tank. Units has 1 tank.
So there's two ways you can do a system like this. One is you do a septic tank out in front of every building and then you just pipe effluent to the pump chamber. Or you by gravity collect all of the raw sewage and route it to a single septic tank. So Rockville just has the first scenario where each building has a septic tank and then they collect the effluent and pump it into the common leaching field.
They get Title V, maybe I should explain today. They get a Title V every 2 years, mandated 2 or 3 years, aren't they?
Also,
For inspections,
Yeah, aren't they?
yes.
Every 2 years, they're demanded to have it done every 2 or 3 years, Title V, right?
You talk about pumping the septic tanks?
Well, just Title V in general.
An inspection?
Inspection, yes.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah.
You get over a certain system size and there has to be periodic regular inspections.
that's because it's over 150 gallons.
No, it's that the 150 is the design flow rate for senior. So a regular house, let's just say at a 2-bedroom house, the design flow rate is 220 gallons per day, but there's a specific separate design flow rate for senior 2-bedroom unit, which is 150 gallons per day for the 2 bedrooms. So it's slightly lesser because they're recognizing that there aren't going to be children in the house and there's less activity in a senior housing unit than there is in an open-ended housing unit.
What was the exact variance? There is.
Most at the bottom of it there,
Okay,
to issue the.
so multiple units put done with addition no more than 2 bedrooms per unit and a maximum 150 gallons per day.
And that's the design rate for a 2-bedroom senior unit.
Cause that looks like that's the variance they gave.
Yeah, multiple unit systems. It's not super clear, but that's obvious. The way it was introduced, they're allowing a single system, which is what they have. They have all the effluent piped to a pump chamber, and then it all pumps to a single soil trench system, absorption system.
Plan. Operation and maintenance. Plan. That's where they say they have to do the Title V every however many years.
2 or 3 years, I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, Title V mandates it.
You want to know why that is?
Sure.
In a condominium complex, so when you go to sell a property, let's start with an individual house, you have to do a Title V, for the process of selling the house. Well, in a condominium, it's all one system. It's a shared unit. So when people decide to sell their units, they can't do a Title V every single time someone wants to sell. So I think what they came up with is let's just do these every 3 years. So when people come up and they're ready to sell the house, the Title V is done already. They don't, and it might be a little extra expense for the unit owners doing it every 3 years if no one sells, but more than likely there's 2 or 3 sales made perhaps in that time period. That's what my understanding is.
That makes sense. Great.
And I can say Rockville Meadows, that like Dan says, the system it's really nice. We have a tank for each building. The effluent flows like it would in a sewer system, comes down the road. All the effluent goes into a 9,000 gallon tank, and it gets pumped up to the fields. And for the most part, it's been very low maintenance for the last 20 years. I mean, they keep up with it. I kept up with it. They keep up with now the association. We've had some minor fixes in the chamber, maybe like a float or something, but the fields had never had a problem this whole time. Worked out very well.
Good to know. Okay, so you're looking for like our response in preparation of giving a variance or requesting a variance?
Yeah,
Well, I'm
someone-
kind of getting a sense that you're open to it. I guess if you were going to change the regulation, we wouldn't have to apply for the variance, but I think I've learned what I needed to learn for tonight on this topic. But I do urge you to consider changing the regulation. I don't, it's, as Tom said, the origin of local regulations can be tricky to figure out. Sometimes they're politically motivated. Sometimes a lot of times they're purely intended to try to prevent development, and trying to tease that out 40 years after the fact is hard to do. So I would urge you to look at the merits of the regulation as it stands now and, consider changing it.
I think what would help the board, if you have like trade journals or anything on septic regulations that are like why they change, and so we still have to make sure we're protecting public health, because we still gotta consider the people with wells, they're drinking the water. Like,
Sure. And, I'd be honest with you, a lot of that's really hard to do because septic regulation is different. Every state does it differently. Every state in New England does it differently. They have different maximum perk rates. They have different methodologies. They have different separation of high groundwater. It's, every state adopts a different model. And as you know, some towns adopt different systems and requirements. So it's hard to really find a piece of paper that says, okay, yeah, there's no problem with a 60-minute perk rate. There's all kinds of research that, I'm sure DEP dug into when they changed their rate 22 years ago. But you're not going to find a document that just says, yeah, this is not a problem. You have to kind of consider what everybody's doing and why they're doing it, and, whether it makes sense or not. And on the septic perk rate, like I said, slower soils are better to a point. because they're more effective at treating the sewage effluent. They're more effective than the Title V sand that DEP makes you use for backfill. Natural soils that have a 10-minute perk rate provide better treatment than septic gravel that you bring in. So, obviously there's a top end where you can start having problems with systems failing, but we've had 60-minute perk rates in Massachusetts for 22 years, and I'm certainly not aware of any problem with those systems failing at unusual rates.
Since we got different zoning, like we got some zone 2.
You have some zone 2, and that's where you get into the current Title V requirements, which basically require reduced density, right? It could be half-acre zoning, but you can't build a septic system on a half acre under Title V unless you provide a really expensive septic system. So the net effect of the Title V regulation is you end up with acre zoning, regardless of what the underlying zoning is. So, when Title V says if you want a 4-bedroom house, you basically have to have an acre of land. And that's how they handle it. They basically reduce permissible density through septic regulation. So that supersedes zoning effectively if you don't have sewer.
Those alternate systems that they have, those are the expensive ones, right?
There are, enhanced nitrogen removal. You can do a slow sand filter, which is kind of basic, but there's a lot of alternative systems which are much more expensive that provide enhanced nitrogen removal as well. They're expensive.
What is it, what do you think, sorry, I asked, what is the prices that
Yeah,
are
like-
attached to it, like 5,000, 10,000 on average?
Like 5,000 versus 10,000, like what's the difference?
I think it's more than that. I'd have to look into it. I think it's at least an extra $10,000. You get into a septic repair in a 20-minute perk rate, you're probably going to spend $40,000 easily. And if you tack on, I know your regulations are for new construction, but just to give you a sense, if you tack on enhanced nitrogen removal on top of that, you're, $50,000, $60,000. It's a lot of money.
Well, I can speak from personal experience down in Wellfleet, for example, pretty much the whole town has been zoned for having to do nitrate systems. Starts at 75,000
Oof.
for a system. Starts.
Yeah.
So they're rethinking what they're going to do. They've petitioned the state to do a septic system that is nitrate, that does the job of the individual septic systems because of the cost factor. And because they basically ground housing sales to a halt because people were looking at $100,000, including design fees for a septic system that would meet code that I think is 28. Everything has to be as of 28 down in large parts of the Cape. 28 is when the grace period is over and towns can move it to 5 years after that, but that's it. So there's a lot of consternation about how to do that in a more efficient way, financial. They're not cheap. They're not cheap systems.
So I'm actually involved with a couple lots down the Cape, and they're only 15,000 square foot lots, so we only can do a 2-bedroom house, which is fine. But 15,000 square feet, the system, I guess it's an alternative, but it's definitely dealing with the nitrates. I think you said it earlier, Dan. They even though we could go gravity, they don't want you to go gravity. They're making us do 2 tanks with 3 separate pumps in a filter system. So yeah, it gets very expensive, very expensive. I don't know the name of it. I don't know the name, but that's what the system involves. It's like what could be a very easy but easy system. They're really making us do a lot. And again, it's because of the nitrates that you're talking about. It's all sand. And that's a good question. What you just brought up. It's like we take out all the bad soil. We're doing a septic system, and we're putting in 2-minute rate sand in It's like, what, what's
Yeah.
that about?
What exactly, right? What's that about? Is some states, if you get a high perk rate, they make you import and install soils with a lower perk rate so you
I
can
know it's, yeah.
treatment capacity. Yep, Massachusetts does that a little backwards. But the point is well taken that you do need to consider the cost of these things and how it affects the cost of housing. And, like Jaiker said, if people have to build $100,000 septic system, a lot of people are not going to be able to move, not going to be able to sell their house.
Well, would it make any sense to make regulations based on the soil type? Like, because that might solve our zone 2 versus our other zone.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do something with nitrate, you would break it down by zone 2 versus not zone 2.
I'm a little curious. I know you're concerned about the well water. Does Millis have like a history? Do they have instances where the well water is bad because of specific septic systems?
No, not really. Every once
Well,
in a while,
that was more for the board because
yeah,
I
sure.
just I don't hear about those. So that's why I'm asking board. Do you run into that situation?
Well, that's kind of a hard thing to track because it's gonna be colorectal cancer. So how many people in this town have been diagnosed with colorectal cancer? We don't maintain those numbers. We can
Oh, all
provide,
right. So
but it's like
I meant like,
long-term exposures, like,
well, I meant like, I guess what I was trying to say is your board familiar that in Millis there's specific septic systems that have whatever made these wells go bad. All right, that's one. But I mean, I guess it's kind of hypothetical. How you can talk all kinds of health issues, but I guess what I'm saying, do you directly tie these to anything in Millis?
So just so I don't know if the board knows this, but Millis's water, it's all from wells. And as a public drinking water supply, they have to test the water 4 times a year, I believe. And they're testing for nitrate and nitrite, and there are state prescribed limitations. And if they exceed those limitations, they're required to implement treatment. And as far as I know, they've never exceeded those limitations. So that's something you could talk to Jim McKay about. He could tell you what they're required to test for. They publish those test results every quarter. You can get your hands on them for the last couple of years and understand what the levels of nitrate, nitrite are in, and total nitrogen, I believe, is another one in Millis's drinking water supply.
good idea.
Let me ask you a question. Would wells on properties make them a zone 2, so to speak?
If you if you have an on-site well and an on-site septic system, you're considered nitrogen sensitive under Title V. Zone 2 is automatically nitrogen sensitive, but anywhere else, if you have a septic system and a well on your property, on one property, that property is considered nitrogen sensitive under Title V regulations.
So if
But
they
a
had
lot of
four
people,
bedrooms, so if they had 4 bedrooms and they had, maybe 25 square feet, whatever square, and they wanted to put a well up there, they couldn't do it, right?
no,
Without,
They'd have to have one of those,
they'd
doesn't
have
have
to
the,
provide enhanced nitrogen removal on the septic system.
uh,
And anyone who has an existing septic system and a well, but they have public water out front, if they don't want to have to, provide the big expensive septic system, they can just connect to municipal water. As long as they're not in zone 2. If you're in a zone 2, those standards apply regardless.
even if you're not. Any comments from, the board? Thoughts? Okay. That was a good discussion. we'll look into that, see if Jim McKay has treatments from the past for nitrates, nitrites, because we'll never know the private wells.
Yeah, he definitely does. He has to test for it regularly.
Yeah,
There's a whole host of drinking water standards for a wide variety of substances, VOCs, nitrates, nitrites, all kinds of stuff. It's 310 CMR 22.22, I think. I can send it to you if you want. There's a big long list. And the town is responsible for testing to ensure that their water quality meets those restrictions.
they send out a brochure every year.
Right, yep.
All right, did we answer your questions tonight?
Yeah, the only other one was season for septic testing. I don't know if you want to talk about that now or another night, but we've talked about it in the past.
Yeah, that's on our list.
Okay, so this is something that Tom Roach brought up, right? You have a perking season, which
Yeah.
in this day and age, you know, the soil science is there where you just certainly no reason to limit percolation testing to any time of year. And deep observation, high groundwater testing with redoxamorphic feature identification, there's really no need to limit that to any particular season. Back in the old days when these regs were written, people would dig a hole and look for water, like physically look for water in the hole. And that's why they wanted you to dig the hole when it was quote unquote the wet season. But we don't do it that way anymore. You know, we're looking for redoxamorphic features. And if you're worried about certain sites, you can include a provision that says that if redoxamorphic features aren't present or obvious, that you would have to come back and redo a deep hole during a certain time of year. Right? If you wanted to do that, just as a belt and suspenders, you could do that. But there's no reason to just arbitrarily say you can't do deep holes or perks between, you know, June and September.
I gotta go out to the select board.
Okay,
I'll be back though at some point in time, probably 5-10 minutes after 7.
okay.
See you later,
All right.
Dan, and Tom, everyone. I'll be back.
Yep.
Steve Young.
All right,
So those were the three topics I wanted to bring up, but I mean, I'm happy to go through the regs section by section. You know, I don't know if you're going to do that tonight or if you're going to do it another night. If I'm available, I'm happy to jump on and just give you guys food for thought.
how about if we have any questions, would you be willing to answer questions from the board?
Oh, of course.
Just like for email, not sitting here tonight.
Yeah, whatever you
Okay.
want. I'm at your disposal.
Thank you. All right. I think that's John left.
All right, I'm gonna get out too. Thank you very much.
All right,
Have a good night.
night. All right, I think on the agenda. All right, it is 6:55. We're gonna table the septic regulation review. I think I got some ideas now for how to move forward on that. Stay tuned. Okay, next thing on the agenda, which I think we want John here for, was to revise the well regulations to include EPA testing methodology for PFAS, because I think we found some testing that we put in, the testing methods we put in were very expensive, so we want to allow for cheaper testing. But let's maybe wait till John comes back for that item. We could do this. SAPHE 2.0 MAHB mandatory training emails. Let me pull that up just a second. So we all got emails about the Massachusetts Board of Health. Where's that? About trainings that could be done. It's not required unless you're an agent, a health agent. So I think that's me and Jakor right now. Find it.
Matt's not a health agent?
Yeah, I thought we all were.
Yeah,
I think you never went in and actually signed the paper, so they took you off the list.
Oh, geez, that sounds like something I would have done, not on purpose.
If you want to be a health agent, please sign your paper. Next time you're here, sign the paper.
and turn it into the office.
Okay.
That is your limiting factor, because when that night when she called out, we reviewed and we found out you were not a health agent. She forgot to sign the little thing.
Yeah, I wish I could say I was surprised. So, if I go in and talk to Kathy in the town hall, is she the right one, or do I need to go to John?
They might have taken it back.
So we have to vote again, probably.
Yes,
So we have to appoint you again.
Oh,
Yeah.
geez. Okay,
It's all good, you
that's
know?
easy enough to do, though. Come on.
sure.
That, we can do that tonight if you want.
May as well.
Sure. Okay, motion to, appoint Matt Fuller as a health agent for the town of Millis. Can I get a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
I,
All right.
I was gonna say, I don't
Please.
know. Do I need to abstain or does it matter?
I don't think, it doesn't matter.
Okay,
It
fine.
No, I don't think it matters.
I guess it passes no matter what, so.
Yeah.
so now you just need to you have to bring the piece of paper with your signature. So Heather probably has them, actually.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I think they just got to pull back. It wasn't a folder and just went down and you signed and you're good.
And then you were talking about this training before. The training is required if you're a health agent, or
Now let me bring it up.
okay.
See if I can make it bigger than the. Not too big, it's 200. Is that changing? It's not changing. Try this again. Did I freeze? I think my computer froze. This is great. Well, it's doing, it says bottom of the document. The full screen. Let me try it one more time. No, actually, I kicked myself off the meeting. But I'll just read it. It says management/agent. Foundations course within 18 months. Board of Health member, if doing inspection must meet requirements above, so I think it's optional, maybe? Foundations course within the year is recommended, and then orientation public health within 3 months. I think the orientation was like an hour or something. I took that one. I think if you're looking for the emails, the MAHB correction/clarification/apology, because I think they sent it multiple times. So it's recommended, not mandatory. That's what that part was. Back to my agenda. Okay, questions on that?
None for me.
All right, next item of business. It's 7:02 PM. We could do the meeting minutes. Let's see where I put them and find them since I kicked myself off of one. On Zoom. Join. In. Zoom to share. Alright. Meeting minutes, January 20th. You're not driving right now. Alright, open meeting. Detailed reports need to be reached. Species. It took place, gave a species genotype of zero group. Okay. Chlorine needs an H.
I will say the first sentence of that paragraph is hard to follow. RGE in response to the letter that Board of Health sent to RGE inside RGE. I'm not entirely sure how to make it better. It's just hard to follow.
He, in response to the letter of concern that UH sent to them.
Yeah, that kind of does help.
Regarding drinking water inside RG development. Responded to, it's me and that's in response. RG responded to the letter of concern that BOH sent to them regarding drinking water inside the RG development. RG has hired comprehensive environmental Inc. Michael, principal engineer at CEI. Come up with a comprehensive draft water management plan for the next 2 months. Water management plan will address ways for continuous monitoring of chlorine levels as they come into development, along with action items for residents to do when away for extended periods of time.
We're missing a sentence about that we had a commitment from RGE that there would be a presentation of this draft no later than 2 months. So we need to put something about how that draft has to be presented to the board no later than 2 months' time.
WMP within 2 months' time. That sound good. RG agreed to present the draft of the WMP within 2 months time.
Mhm.
Alright.
Present the draft to the board. Because they could
Oh.
just present it to their community, so make it specific to the board.
The draft of the WMP to the Board of Health within 2 months time. WMP will also address ways for continuous monitoring chlorine levels as water comes into the development. Along with action items for residents. They're away for one. Set periods of time. How's that? Um. Transferring of yearly board duties. Please come up with action items that the chair and board members need to either sign up for or be removed from. Okay. Let's review the minutes. And the director's report. Any further changes? Meeting adjourned.
Looks good to me.
Motion to approve the January 2026 meeting minutes of the Board of Health.
Second,
All in favor?
I
Or muted. I'm going to save this.
so we're waiting on John for PFAS and his report. And we've already got the next meeting scheduled, right?
The next meeting is March 9th. Do we want to do a April? Figure out in April? So we can book the room?
Fine by me if you want to.
Schedule. April 13th.
That works for me.
Core. You good with the 13th? Core. Record 13th April. I don't think she can hear me.
I can hear you, so maybe she's on mute or something.
Okay, I'm on mute. Okay, so what did you say? I'm sorry. I'm like trying to like find myself and my mute button. What date did you pass by?
April. Yeah, April 13th. How's that work for you?
April 13th, yeah, looks good.
All right. So then next, find my agenda again. Oh, so many things open. Yeah, I wanted to come back from PFAS. Okay. Show this real quick since I couldn't show it before.
There we go. Can you introduce the topic of the less expensive tests? 'Cause you and John both know this, so if Matt and I catch up to speed, then we can do that quickly when he comes back.
These are just the document that I was trying to share. Which I'm not sure if we'd be considered health inspectors. It's just as a health agent, but Board of Health meeting is, it looks like it's over here in the recommended but not required section,
Mm-hmm,
their training.
mm-hmm.
All right, let's stop sharing and I will find what the PFAS
We're
was.
not inspectors. Inspectors have to have a certain certification. We're agents, so which.
So we're good.
So,
So it's always good to take more classes.
oh yeah, well, with our budget, education budget, right? Board of Health education budget.
Absolutely. Let's see. Alright, so let me just share my screen. This one. Alright. Yeah. Alright, so we're looking at the synthetic organic, change pest the word pesticide to organic synthetic. And that was his first suggestion. We were looking at changing the wording on the document, the form. Cause this says this is for once, selling or new construction. Potable oil must be tested for PFAS along with other tests mentioned in the regulations. It kind of glances off the box and the everything else. And it also says irrigation well may be tested for PFAS depending on the property situation and history. If we go back to our, that's on one. Our well regs, they say like if in areas like former, dumps, septic fields. Find it. I was looking at Eurofence, that was the one that used to be, what did they change the name from? This is the lab up in New Hampshire. They changed their name, but it looks like they're now Eurofins Dairy. And Jen was asking about what the costs are for all the testing that would be required to transfer the property. They're about $1,500. It looks like the synthetic organic chemicals are the hard test, because the PFAS runs like 200, 500, just that one, and there's the other tests. So like comboing all the various test requirements.
I know that's a lot of money. I'm not entirely sure you can make it cheaper and test for the appropriate things. Most of these have to be done, I think, on gas chromatography with mass spec, although I might be wrong and it might be liquid chromatography with mass spec, and it's just expensive to run those instruments. But it's probably worth us, maybe it's worth John or someone reaching out to some labs and getting an idea of, or DEP, and saying, hey, where are people doing these tests, and make sure that we are aligned and aren't asking for too much.
We started talking about the PFAS cost of the testing.
Yeah,
Did you mind
was it 537, what is it, 547, what is it, -1? Remember that? It's the well testing, right?
Yeah, the well
It's
testing.
supposedly. Was,
Yeah, here's a quote from Shoba.
537-1.1 is what most, not all of them, have them as EPA models for the PFAS 537.1. And they said this is what you get, everything you need from that. Okay, it has all 6 and 18.
Yeah, full 18.
PFAS
Well,
measurements.
that was that email.
Yes, that's the one I sent back.
This the lady from the Eurofins company,
Yes,
and she gave us a quote.
like it, yeah, I think it's like $1,500, something like that, 1,700, can't remember.
They do radon, they do, this is like all inclusive, everything that we have in the regs. PFAS is only 125. The synthetic organic compounds was 900. So that's the one that's expensive, that's the
Yeah.
pesticide one,
That's the most expensive one, I think.
yeah.
I don't think they have the radon in there. Do they have the radon price in
You
that?
talked about,
Which is radionucleotides. Radon, they says, is the same thing with the radon 222 and all the same.
she says the same as the radon that they normally run, so it would be included in that cost for the price. Fire pesticides, yeah, so it's the pesticides that are the most expensive test. It looks like. Cause that includes the VOC, that includes the PFAS, that's the radon, that's like your nitrates, nitrites, your clarity, your other arsenic, your lead, your all the other stuff. It's this synthetic organic compounds testing that's, for whatever reason, it's very expensive.
I mean, yeah, something, wasn't tonight the night that you possibly could vote EPA 537.1 as part of 7.4?
Okay,
You know what I mean? Because that way we allow that to be used. Because most of the labs in the state use that for PFAS, and that's it. And it's certified by DEP.
all right, I need to find where that is. 7.4. So John is proposing that we change the well regs for 7.4.
Add it in, just add it in.
Or just add
Add that in.
additional testing under 7.4. Let me find it. Oh, let's see, there's some- Here it is, all right. Share this now. So in our regs. The 7.4 under the PFAS testing. The current reg cites EPA method 533 or 1633. It's hard to find a mass certified lab that does those particular,
There's none of them in the state that does it.
none of them,
No.
none of them does it. So we wanna open up the requirements to add EPA method 537.1. Cause that will give us 3 laboratories certified with Mass DEP to do.
It's actually like more like 6 now.
Okay,
It's more like 6, because that was just the state, but if you do outside the states, New Hampshire and stuff, which is still DEP certified, there's a few more. And
okay.
they all have 537.1, so
Yeah.
they're all.
Okay, so lab doesn't have to be in Massachusetts to be a Massachusetts certified lab.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so, motion to add EPA testing method 537.1 to section 7.4 of the Millis water regs. Well regulation. You bring up the well regulation.
Can I ask a question? So we're keeping in the regulations that would make it more expensive to test, but adding a regulation that makes it cheaper to test. Why would we not just substitute the expensive ones, swap out the expensive ones for the one that is more reasonably priced?
Well, they
Versus
got
add more
and it's
flexibility.
certified by DEP, the others aren't certified.
Well, the other tests,
Yes,
the
they're not.
EPA tests are not
The
certified.
EPA, yeah, right. They might be 2 or 3 years from now, but now they say this is what we approve of is this 537.1 certified. And
Oh,
they take care of all the 6 PFAS, but they have 18 actually in there, 537.1, so it carries the 6 and whatever 18 is. I mean, it covers everything. So. All the PFAS. Want me to put the other thing on? That's got list of draft and all this. Then
Oh,
I
yeah,
can do that.
that'd be good. Yeah, I'm just screen sharing
Yeah,
yeah, you're also sharing.
let me see here. Let's see.
I think EPA is saying 533 or 537.1 will both, test for PFAS. 29 PFAS is, currently tested for in water. Yeah. Yeah, go down a little bit, because. Yeah, there's the PFAS part.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's down that,
Yeah.
yeah. So at the very bottom, it says, well, it says methodology such as EPA 533 or EPA 1633. So we're not exactly mandating you
Right,
use
such
those,
as, the word such as.
such
right, yeah.
as, which could be interpreted as, hey, you could use this 537.1, but do we want to go ahead and add 537.1?
I think it's a good idea to do that, though.
Okay,
So we'll put that here.
yeah, it'd be
Like
533,
comma.
comma, 537.1. Or 1633, which,
That has everything. That's 1633, I heard. It's got everything and
yeah,
it costs like $3,000 easily or something. I don't know. So,
you don't have to do that.
and
We
you have,
have to do EPA 5371.3 or that. Like you have to put the designation EPA 537, because both the other ones.
oh, yes, okay.
Motion to,
I'm sorry, can I ask just real quick? I understand the idea of offering something that's accessible and cheaper. Um, is it a more, I just didn't follow, is it a more limited panel than the other EPA testing and that's why it's cheaper? Or it's because it's offered here and so it's just accessible?
well, so method 3, I'm looking on the EPA website for PFAS drinking water laboratory methods. Method 533 is termed per and polyfluorochlorate alkyl substances in drinking water by isotope dilution, anion exchange, solid phase extraction, and liquid chromatography tandem mass spec. Method 537.1 is determination of selected per and polyfluorinated alkyl substance in drinking water by solid phase extraction, liquid chromatography, and tandem mass spectroscopy. They both effectively measure 29 PFAS in drinking water. By using either of those methods.
Yeah, it gets all the 6 up here. They get all the 6s and even more. This gets 18. This one might even get more than 18, but really all 6 specific ones are taken up by, are, taken up by each of these and measured by each of these.
Okay, so that's the critical part, right? Is that the major 6 are covered. So we're offering some flexibility. That seems reasonable to me. And just to be clear, we can just update this, right? We don't have to have I never know when we have to have a hearing and when we don't.
I don't think we need
It's
that.
just updated because, yeah.
Yeah,
We're not-
is it when it's new regs? Is that when you have to have a hearing?
Yeah,
Okay,
as long as we amend, we don't have to have a hearing.
okay.
I mean, can I say something that's kind of a interesting statement though? Is technically boards don't have to have hearings at all with the quote unquote hearings per se. Only Title V, the states say you have to have a hearing, quote unquote. Everything else can be done and not even have to really advertise it, so to speak. But that's not really what most boards do. They've learned that they should be doing hearings and everything, so.
Transparency, right?
Yes, yes.
Can't share, I think, can I?
So what we're doing by adding this is essentially giving a more economical option. But if someone
Yeah.
wants to have a more vigorous testing of their well water, then we're keeping in the more vigorous options.
Yeah, we're not gonna limit people, like, if you wanna do the everything in the world
Right.
testing, that's the 10. The
Right, the
16,
18, yeah,
yeah, go for it.
okay. Do we want to say something that pulls this out? I mean, since we're kind of saying, you know, most people, not everyone, but most people would want to do the economic, the economy model of testing. Is there anything we want to say in how we language it? That at the minimum, this, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, but also included are these, you know, ways of testing as well. I mean, something that pulls it out, so it doesn't just seem kind of, you know, like somebody who knows that that's the economic way to test is present when someone chooses to do it. Does that make sense?
All these DEP certified labs, every one of them does the 537.1. They don't even do these other ones at all.
Yeah, so
Because the EPA has not been adopted by DEP yet. So technically, you really can't use other things now because they're not certified with DEP. And they all have, if you look at the labs that you see we have on this thing,
yeah,
but it's like six. They're all, that's all they have is 537.1, 537.1, 537.1, all of them. None of them have, you know, 1633 and 533 at all. To do PFAS. Now, could it happen 2 years from now, 3 years, who knows?
well, that's what
Well,
we
they
kind of
can
like.
change it, then we can update it.
Yeah,
That's why it's such as, like, you can
right.
do the latest testing that DEP accepts. We don't know where DEP is gonna be in 2 years.
Right.
There could be better tests out there by then.
Mhm.
I think you're just presenting another option that's available now commercially for the public. Alright, so to add this in. Any more discussion on adding this to the well regs? Okay. Okay, so I guess a motion to add testing method EPA 537.1 to be added to the Board of Health well regulations under section 7.4 in the PFAS testing section. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Right. Right. Now added it.
Yes.
Okay.
And John, what did someone contact you to ask you about this? And I guess what I mean by this question is there anyone in the process of, you know, doing testing or thinking about it that we should reach out to say, hey, there's been an update?
I think it was actually Heather that actually,
Yeah, I think
she,
trying to make a
she,
form.
she made a form
Yeah.
and she
Oh, okay.
said that these are all carrying 537. When I gave her the things to use, and I looked, I said, yeah, you're right, it's everything one of them said. Then I talked to the labs, and they said, this is all we do, this is what's certified, and it's all that's certified in Massachusetts and the surrounding towns of Massachusetts too, that are, this is what they use, everything else is the EPA, 1633, 530, they're not approved per se by DEP. They might be down the road, but not now. Okay.
cost is certainly a consideration. Was there anything else in the water regs you want to go over? We got 'em.
What was that thing? I don't know if you wanted to go out that other thing that was. What the,
You want to change the pesticide to say,
no, I was worried about what they did with the, what is it? Irrigation, because it seems to me that, you know, we worried about the, you know, the testing with the drinking water wells.
yeah,
But I suggest that we only deal with the new irrigation wells coming in. And then determining if they're 1,000 feet from any of the land waste and all the agricultural stuff like that.
yeah.
And,
Yeah,
cause
that's
it's, you know, that's because they try to look for old irrigation wells and they try to get 100 foot radius. They're sometimes under the ground. You know, the snow like this, you couldn't figure out where these things are. It's just very difficult. But if you have a new irrigation well coming in, and it kind of says that though, because it says each application, the board can review each application. So an existing doesn't have an application coming in. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But everything should be, whether they buy a new drinking well or they sell a house, they should be up for, you know, having all that testing done on it. You know what I mean? But it's not necessarily the same case for an irrigation well, so to speak.
yeah, that's what they're trying to do, like only if it was
Right.
within,
Yeah,
the special sites, the 21E sites,
yeah, playgrounds, it's got everything there, and it's, you know. Like I just, you know, I pulled it up the other day or something, it was like a
golf course, like,
heck is it?
21E sites.
I mean, this is what you pull off the GIS map. But it only doesn't do radius of where this, it just does where this would be in the same, was it property? But a radius would exactly fill out 100,000 feet from the thing. This gives you an idea though. But it's not exactly telling, yeah, you have to get a real 1,000 radius. You know what I mean? And this is like one, you know, you pick one, you know, somewhere here, and you say 1,000 feet. This is how much, and you know, they go past, what's that place? GAF. So they definitely, if they did it, I'm just saying if they bought a, irrigation well, and they were 1,000 feet within gaff, you know, the gaff. Yeah, that was the one that had all the problems with PFAS and everything else. Right, business, yeah, the old business from like 40, 50 years ago. So that would tell you that you have to get that, you know, that irrigation, PFAS. Well, you take, everything like, pesticides, who knows? And what happens if it goes, let's say 21 parts per trillion? How do you actually, yeah, I know how to get, I know how to put treatment in a house for drinking wells. How do you put that outside? I don't know exactly.
yeah, like what would be
What
the,
would you put exactly? Because you know you got everything every year with like difference in you know, temperatures and things like that. Will it survive? And would you be able to do that? I don't know. I've never seen something like that, but I'm sure there's possibly testing that can be done outside, so to speak, on an irrigation. Because that's what, if you're gonna do tests and you get 21 parts per trillion, what do you tell that person? You can keep spraying that over the lawn, or do you have to treat it?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
well, like some of these contaminations would make trigger it to be a 21E site and have to be reportable to the state, and then the state would take
Yeah,
it
if it's
over.
90 or something like that, they were big trouble, but hopefully, knock on
It's
wood,
not that.
nothing's like, but you never know, near gap, you never know,
But that's only if they want an irrigation well.
right?
And like, I think we left the regs open pretty loosely. So we may require
Right, right.
testing
Yes.
if the area we know is like one of these.
Yes.
Possibly contaminated areas,
But the most stringent is the drinking well.
yeah,
It's clearly what we have to do.
Yeah.
So that's decent right there.
okay. We comfortable with that? Like.
Yeah.
Yes, what would you do?
Yeah, yeah.
I know there's cleanups, but I'm not sure how you would. There's any question?
Yeah. I think we'll have to talk to DEP about, I think they've seen it somewhere. I know they have, they must have.
Okay. I think the way we worded that is pretty broad, where basically they have to come before us if they want to put an irrigation well someplace where there's a contaminated or potentially contaminated,
Yeah,
previous use or land or.
they're next to something that's definitely hazardous, 21E site, whatnot.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's why they said, playgrounds and parks, what are they?
Would
Because
that be
maybe they-
rocks, like the pesticides and,
Maybe they use they use a lot of playgrounds and parks over 21E sites. They have heard that before. I don't know what it is, because that's you can't put houses there. So they say, what can I put here?
Oh, yeah, they like the
They still
landfills, they cover
right, right,
landfills,
exactly.
make a park there.
Maybe that's what they assume is going on, you know?
Any more discussion on, well regs? Let's move on. I think we got the, 7:44. I think we got the director's, report.
So it's been kind of a slow, but cold month, a half month, but you know, not much going on. I don't think, you know, Title V and everything like that, it doesn't go on this time of year for the most part. 50 Union Street, we're still working on that. I was with AG, that's actually 58 Union, 50 Union Street, I was with the AGO this morning, which is beside 58 Union. And they're looking at potentially putting 50 Union Street under a, what do they call it? Oh, geez. What's the name of that thing again? I can't believe I can't name it, but, what the heck is it? It's because it's an R, what the heck is it? It's a person that actually goes out and does something with the property. They actually go out and they fix the property up. It's, you know, and then they can, it's a receivership, that's it, receivership. And that's what they, you know, they help you with, they hire this receivership. And that's been like that for 6+ years. And it's rotting away. And nothing's been done with it for 6 years, so.
probably under receivership now, or?
Well, no, not now, that the AGO is putting, they basically send the quote unquote owners, so to speak, who live in Chicago now. And they send them a letter and say, you either do something within 30 days, whatever, 60 days, or we'll hire a receivership over your house, and then they, you know, they do work on it, and they can sell it. They can sell it and auction it off. So,
You're getting knocked off.
so they can use the receivership to basically make that property livable and sellable.
So right now it's got lots of violations there.
Oh, yes.
It's unsafe.
Yeah, unsafe, yeah.
Okay.
And then there's nothing really much going on here. We've got meetings in different areas and so forth. Select board flu info,
Okay.
just about,
Just did that.
just about 20 minutes ago, okay? Okay.
This is real
All right,
time.
yeah, there you go. Nothing really much going on at this time.
Okay.
Have we got a question? Oops, see if we can find my face.
Sure.
Um, there I am. Health fair.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's supposed to be coming up April 14th. Apparently. And it's gonna be in the COA, BOH, and opioid, consultant's gonna be there as well, so. You know, that's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. I think it lasts from 10 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon, something like that. April 14th.
So, is this the same one that Anne was talking about in her
Yes.
nurse's report? Okay,
Yes.
okay, but she made it sound like it was senior age focused. Is that so?
Yeah, it is senior focused in that health fair, but it doesn't necessarily mean they can't take younger people in that. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
it's, you know, there's no way they can keep people out of it if they're not a certain age.
Well, yeah, no, I know that, but in terms of what kind of vendors might be there or, you know, workshops or whatever, is it senior focused or is there any broadening of that in terms of?
Well, we have a meeting this Wednesday, and I'll ask her that, because maybe we could add some more to it, so, you know, it's not strictly elder.
Well, I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I just think it needs to be clear that if it's, you know, if the spring one is senior focused, and then, you know, we do a fall one that ties in with flu vaccines or something that's, you know, more broad age. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Are we gonna ask the MRC to do anything at that fair? Like flip?
Yeah, like
or-
this Wednesday, we have a meeting with them, if you want to come to that sort of too, I mean, it's during the day, it's like, I think it's 12 noon or something like that, we're having that meeting. Depends on what's going on. You know. If you want to can see if they can not make it, maybe they'll make it 70% elderly or 70% senior, make 30%, you know, people at age. You know, that kind of thing.
We have a location.
Yeah, it's gonna be COA.
Oh,
COA office city. It's gonna be downstairs,
okay.
with all the different rooms, things like that.
Alright. Sounds
Well,
good.
maybe keep it simple, make the, because April, while it sounds far away, it's not. Yay, because it won't be snowing as much then.
I'm hoping not. Then again,
It's only 2 months.
I think the snow's gonna wait, I'm gonna wait, the snow to melt in June, it might melt away in June, who knows?
Hey, March is, before we had a little lull of 3 years of warm, March was the snowiest month. So, you know,
Yeah, that's right. 2013, was it 2013 that was bad? I think
Yeah.
2013, we had snow
2012, 2013.
between February, March,
Yeah.
every day a blizzard, every week a blizzard,
Yeah.
1 week blizzard, second week blizzard.
yeah,
Unbelievable.
this winter is more traditional, you know,
Yeah,
so another 4 inches tomorrow night. So back to so I don't think it's, again, it might be, it's not a lot of time. I mean, we're mid-February. That's only 2 months to get people, vendors and speakers and, events for more than senior focus. So maybe keep it simple and do senior focus for the spring and then plan something out in the fall that's more, broader age spectrum. I mean, I'm not attached to, I'm not trying to plug that it should be broader age bracket. I'm just was curious if it was, if the seniors were the focus, which is how Anne presented it. So, and I'm, that's fine. We just was seeking clarity.
All right, well, we're happy to have one anyway. A lot of work to put those together.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and to kind of make it more population focused. I'm not, once a year, I think is good. So if this one wants to be senior and then the next one is, then it gives more time and spring is busy for, people, parents, kids. Some fall is easier to pull people in, especially when the weather starts turning, darker and colder.
soccer, football, everything else, yeah.
Yeah.
It's always hard to get between the seasons.
Yeah.
I know. Well, now we can't count on, is November going to be snow or is November going to be 50? I don't know. Okay.
Okay, yeah, any other topics we need to discuss tonight? I think that's
I
all.
think this is SAP 2.0, performance standards and whatnot, and this is what they said,
Yeah, we
you
discussed,
guys,
it's volunteer or
it's volunteer,
recommended to
right?
tests. and
Yeah,
stuff
so
online, so-
the train,
Yeah, train, mass dot train.
yeah,
Mass train. So,
so,
consider it.
yes. And it's being paid for, so you don't have to worry about it if you go to these.
Oh, see, there's that Board of Health education budget line, right?
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's paid by, a grant.
Hmm.
To pay for the boards. At MAHB seminars,
Okay.
so,
What do we know
Cool.
of share, can we still access shared services? Like there's. To help us with like
Oh, yeah.
regulations and stuff, do they, because remember at the end of the well regs, the guy said that his grant wasn't being funded or something.
no, I asked her about
Did they
that
back?
a week or two ago, she says, so far, so good. And, it's not federal, they don't have to worry about something happening in Washington taking away that thing, but they have enough for at least 2 or 3 years,
Okay, that's
so.
good, maybe we should borrow their expertise in working on our septic grants.
Yeah,
Alright. Okay. Any further business? If not, motion to close the Mills Board of Health meeting at 7:56 PM. I get a second.
Second.
Alright, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, see you next month on the ninth.
Sounds good. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good warm week.